Ambassador Hunter, back there.
I'm going to make myself very unpopular. First, I think one of our biggest problems is we don't have these three people in government.
And
And what
how?
I worry about is we're not under either candidate for president, neither of whom has much of a track record for knowledge of foreign affairs, whether they will hire people who can get us back onto a genuine path for strategic thinking. With regard to Ukraine in general, the cardinal error took place in 2008 when, for certain internal U.S. political needs, NATO declared that Ukraine and Georgia will become NATO members. That was the moment of commitment. That was the moment in which we crossed any red line that any country would have had against the Russians. And yet every administration, all the way up to now, continues to repeat that it'll happen. I will go along with Tom and go farther. There is no way in God's green earth that there will ever be a consensus for Ukraine to join NATO. It is decided as early as 1997 that, in effect, Ukraine could be a Western country, but it would be buffer state. We never said it, but that was fully understood by everybody and accepted by everybody, including a lot of Ukrainians. I'll also go. I think it was Charlie who said that if anybody was prepared to give an Article 5 to Ukraine, we'd be doing it right now. Doing it right now. It's not a matter of waiting for the end of the war. Fundamentally, I believe this is about U.S.-Russian relations, which both sides screwed up beginning in the early thousands when we abrogated the ABEM Treaty. We put missile defenses in Central Europe, and the Russians did a lot of stuff too. We lost opportunities. Can't go back there. But if we're going to get there, the next president is going to have to move beyond the kinds of people who have been making the policy, certainly for the last X years, and look for good people who can think strategically in the broadest geopolitical and European, Atlantic, U.S.-Russia context, of which poor Ukraine has suffered, but is never going to be made whole again to an extent that is acceptable to the Ukrainians unless we can get the other thing right. And right now, I see no hope that the next president is going to bring in the people that are necessary.
Thank you, Ambassador.
I actually drafted that first letter.
I love that letter.
And well, so did I when I wrote it. But obviously the situation has changed. But the point I would make is that for the past 70 or 80 years, our policy towards Russia has always been a mix of deterrence and diplomacy. That's the way we conducted ourselves during the Cold War, which actually turned out rather well from our standpoint. I think the problem now is that we have lost the art of doing diplomacy, and we focus too much on the military aspect of this. Diplomacy is not a concession to the Russians. It's not a reward for bad behavior. It's a way of advancing American interest. And we do need to talk to the Russians. I think we do need to talk to them, in part because they are engaged in a set of activities that poses grave threats to American interest and to European security. But the absence of a channel of communication, I think, leads or makes a bad situation worse. So diplomacy, not on its own, diplomacy linked to a strong deterrent posture, puts us in a position to influence developments, to push Russia in directions that are favorable to the United States. So again, it's not a choice of either or, it's doing both and doing both effectively, something that we've lost the talent for, I think, in the past decade or so.